Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done a video on Halo or any product. I've done some scripting, I've done some ChatGPT AI stuff, I've done some random talking. In this case, I want to do a video going back to a couple of videos actually. This one will be about Halo. I'll do another video about Roost and some things. For right now, I'm just going to jump straight into it. This video is going to be about HaloPSA and the projects module specifically. There have been significant changes to the products module for the last few beta versions, and we're just going to go through and talk about some of the features and how they work and what it looks like. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, my screen's being shared. You should be able to see it. And we're going to go through. This is a demo environment of Halo. And so a lot of this stuff is demo data, nothing real per se. And we're going to go take a look at some of the things here. The first thing that you want to know about Halo and projects is that by default, there are two teams that come through. It's going to be like project consultants and project managers. The two teams are there for a reason. They're not duplicates. They're not meant for like external people or anything like that. It's just because in Halo, projects and opportunities and service desk are all tickets. Therefore, projects is also tickets and project tasks are also tickets. And the way it works is using parent-child relationships to create the project, phase, and tasks. Phases can be a little iffy. You can get 3 layers deep. You can go parent, child, grandchild. You can go parent, child, and milestones for the phases. You can do project plan for the phases. You can really do all 4 to get like a 6-dimensional kind of management view. For right now, we're going to keep it really simple. I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do parent-child, and I'm going to do milestones. I'm going to show off milestones on tickets. But the key to note is that do not assign tasks and projects, the parent tickets and the child tickets, to the same team, because that's going to get really confusing. You're not going to know which one's which. So you really want to keep them separate. So we'll just go here for a moment. We're going to jump into our projects area. You can see that we've got project engineers and we've got project managers, right? And so what we really want to do is make sure that you don't assign the same thing to both people. Now, there are a couple of things we're going to talk about before we actually go into the actual ticket type itself. Halo brought in the ability to edit the Kanban cards. So now you can literally create a Kanban card that's completely custom to however you want it to look. And this is already custom from out of the box. And I'll show you why. If we were to switch our columns to like default columns for the moment, you can see that this is just looks like a regular ticket. You can see a task here that's assigned as a project manager, which is not correct. And so it's all lumped together. We're going to take this and we are going to move this. And it's actually, I think this should be even a project, not a project task. So I'm just going to change the type here real quick to project. So we're just going to change that because that should be a project. The parent, I know that because the parent ticket itself, oh, maybe I'm lying. No, I lied. Let's change that back to project task. Yeah, so the parent ticket would tell you basically what it's supposed to be. If the parent ticket is a project, then it's supposed to be a task, and the team should be project engineers or consultants by default. If the parent ticket is an opportunity or a sales ticket, so if you go here and look at the details, you'll see the parent ticket is an opportunity. And so that would be the main project. And you're already seeing like some of the out of like the changes that we've made that are coming soon. But we're gonna dive into them. So we're gonna fix this. This is now assigned to the project engineers. And if we go back to our list of project managers, that ticket should go away because it should go away. Why did it not? We're gonna go back to default columns for the moment. Did it not get reassigned? Maybe I have to choose an agent as well. Project engineers. Oh yeah, I clicked off of it. So if I click off of it, it doesn't actually change the assigned agent. So now if I refresh, you'll see it's back to project managers. This is where some of the UI funkiness comes into play. I have to click engineers and then I have to assign somebody or either unassigned or an agent under that team, and then it'll update that ticket. So now if I go back and close, and now the ticket is gone. Okay, so slight detour. The ticket is still here. Oh, no, this is something else. Never mind. This is an opportunity. It just looks the same for some reason, because the summary was the same. All right, let's go back to our default column view, and we're going to show getting back on track. These are all projects. This is what Kanban view as projects looks like. It's basically nothing to write home about. You can drag and drop, but that's about it. Now, if we were to go back to our project view that I've already messed with and switch to Kanban, we're already in Kanban, you can see that we've already now made things look a little nicer, a little more project oriented. We can see there's a number of tasks, which are for that project. We can see which tasks they are, and we can click on the tasks to go into it. One of the most confusing things is that when you go to a view, an area, it's called an area here. When you go to an area, the highlighted team is going to be your default team that exists assigned to that agent as the default team. And so if you have engineers who are also acting as managers because they manage the project themselves, the entire project from end to end, as well as individual tasks, it can get annoying because they keep going to the tasks when they want to go to the projects. So one of the things that I would suggest with the changes is to remove from the areas the project engineers from the view completely. We're going to come here and just get rid of this. And we're going to say, the only thing we care about is when the team is the project manager. We don't care about engineers because the engineers can go open the project and then they can dive into the tasks directly from the project. And now the only thing I have is one view. It's nice and clean. I don't have to like try to find my way around. And I go to my Kanban and I can see all the things here. Let's talk about some of the things that I can do inside the Kanban editor. So I'm going to come back here. Notice Tile also has an editor, and notice there's a table here, right? Let's see what that looks like for right now, and just flip the tile view. Okay, so this is the table. You can come here, edit that, and you can literally customize both Kanban and Tile more or less the same way. The formatting looks different when it actually plays out. The tiles are a little bit wider on screen than the Kanbans are. Kanbans are narrower and start to look a little weird when they get too long, but you basically have the same HTML editor, and you have the ability to add any field that's here, which is basically almost any column field, onto the Kanban view. Okay, so we're going to do something. We're just going to come here and we're going to say, well, I want to stick the priority or the importance of the project, and I want to stick it in the center, and I want it to be different shades. So I'm going to create a one cell table. I'm going to set the border to none, and I'm going to color that border a little, I don't know, like that. And now I'm going to center the text inside that table, and then I'm going to enter the priority, element of P of the project, which is like that. And let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to flip to Kanban view. And now we have the priority of the project that's telling us what's going on. And again, I'm not a designer, right? So don't trust my idea of what a good project board looks like from a Kanban perspective. What I'm trying to showcase here is that you can edit it to whoever you want. So you get someone who does or is good at designing or knows what it's supposed to look like, and then let them do it. In this case, I'm going to say, well, we want to know the client, and we want to know the client on top. We want to know the user on the bottom. And so we're going to come here and we're going to say, stick this in the middle. We're going to shade it as if it's like a header. We're going to say no border again. We're going to do like a really light shade, and we're going to stick the client in here. Okay. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to the bottom and I'm going to stick another table. I'm going to literally copy the exact same thing that I just did across the board from above, because I want it to look like it's surrounding top and bottom. So I think I did the same color for both. So that's, I can just copy the hex, but I'm colorblind, by the way, in case you don't know that. So, but it is the same. And then we're going to come here and we're going to go to user and we're going to throw the user on here. So we'll throw the username and we're going to set the border to no border. Okay, and we're going to save that. And now we got, boom, the client, the user, the number of tasks, the priority, and so on and so forth. Now we can come in here and say like, well, we don't need some of these things. We can start moving stuff. Maybe we want to add more things. We want to know how much total time was spent, right? Project managers always want to know how much time was actually spent on the project total. And so we can come in here and say total time, and we can come back and say project, I think it's time actual projects, boom. And we can throw that out there and we can save that. And now we've got total time is a minute, an hour and 3 minutes, so on and so forth. And you can use tables to format the cells so that the text gets grouped correctly and wrapped properly, and so on and so forth. The only other thing you may want to know, and again, you should really be exploring this stuff, so I shouldn't be telling you, but if you were to click this button and look at the code view, you can see that there are some classes that exist for the Kanban itself. And so you can see board card details, and then details, board card summary, whereas this stuff is not really in it, right? Agent name is there, and actually it's on the right bar, which is the agent icon on the top right corner. But this doesn't have anything, and total time is not inside of any kind of div like that, tables by itself, but there are some classes that you can play with to see how it looks, and then when you're done, go ahead and save, and then it'll show you what it looks like. And so you have the ability to do a lot of customization from a project management perspective. Now let's talk about project tasks, okay? Because we just said like, well, when we go into it, we have a different Kanban view here, right? And we remove tasks from here. And so our only view of tasks are going to either be on this front page where we can launch a task directly, or it's going to be on, I think it opened a new window. Where did that go? Let's go back. Let's try that again. 2195. It's not actually taking us into, I think that because the links are overlapping, it's taking us into the project as opposed to the task. But this would be the task itself. So that's interesting. It didn't do that on a previous version. I think that may be something new or a bug with 2123, our latest beta. Let me switch to table view and see if I click on 2195 here. Yeah, so now that opens the task, and it also takes us to the project here. So there's some like buggery with the URLs and overlaying it on itself. But let's go back to what we're talking about. So we're looking at the actual project itself, and we see the Kanban. What is this view, and how do we change these, and what can we put on here? And the answer is basically this exact same thing. Instead of the project view, it's using the project tasks view. And you can come here, edit it, and modify the Kanban to give it some more information. You can put the main project name. You can do the budget type. You can do the milestone it's on, and stuff like that. Again, any column that's here, you can really do. So you can throw in on the project the last activity date. You can say the next activity date, so that you can really see when the next time you're gonna be working on that project, or someone's gonna work on that project, and you can really build out a view that's actually useful. Whereas previously, before that editor, like you were stuck with what was there, and it was really hard to manage projects properly. Okay, enough talking about the views, enough talking about Kanbans and stuff like that. Sort of, what is this view? This looks different than the standard. Right now, you go open a project, it's going to look a little different. Let's talk about the things that we've done and the new features that allows us to make it look the way it does right now, right? So if we go to our configuration page, these are configurations that are done on a per ticket type. So we're going to go to configuration and ticket type. And we're going to go to project tickets, because that's what we're looking at, right? Project tasks has its own view. Project tickets is the parent ticket. That's what we're looking at right now. And we can see the ticket type name is projects. We know that because if we're looking here and go to the details tab, we can come here and we can see that the ticket type is projects. So that's one of the things, that's how you know. So you go to the project ticket type, and let's start looking through the options that we have here. So number one, we have the ability to set a default view for when you're looking at the project itself. Column profile for child tickets, that's not what I'm looking for, but that's also one of the things we're going to be doing. Let's go slowly because there's a lot of settings here and I clearly missed it. First thing is, let's just go through the settings and see. These will set the statuses. What happens when the email on closed ticket? Emails on closed tickets can't reopen a ticket. What's your charge rate? So this is not going to be correct. You're probably going to do something like projects, or don't set an override at all. We want to hide the respond button and probably automatically respond logging via the agent new ticket or call screen. Enable sending of SLA hold reminders. We'll turn that off. Although you can turn that on and use that as a mechanism for saying like, hey, this project is waiting on you to move forward. You can also do that on a per status instead of on an SLA hold reminder. So for projects, the SLA won't really be there. We're going to turn that off, and we're going to turn off closure procedures. Because it's a project, we're going to say, sure, prompt to add a KB article when ticket's closed. And we're going to say all children must be closed before closure of the project. So that means all tasks have to be finished before we can close the project. Here is the column profile for child tickets. We saw this a little bit earlier. This is going to be what defines the column profile, which is what we see the view of the Kanban or the tables, or for the view of the tile, or the columns for the table view. So this is all using a column profile. And so that column profile is defined right here for child tickets, and you can say project tasks view. And so you can build out different column profiles for different types of project tickets, or even for project tickets versus help desk tickets. And you can lock the Kanban view right here, right? Different list, default list type is Kanban view. And you can lock that in so that you have better management of the different types of tickets or projects that are going on. Here's what I was looking for before. Initial ticket details tab. I guess they rearranged some of these settings because that used to be higher up. Initial ticket details tab would be child tickets if applicable. So that way, if there's child tickets, it'll display what those tickets are. Otherwise, it'll go to the default one, which in this case would be progress. So that's what that would look like here. We'll do child tickets because that's what makes sense. Show unborn child tickets on the ticket details screen. Allow customization of unborn child tickets. So these are settings. I'm actually going to turn them off. These are settings from the project planning side, where a project plan can have, you basically define how a project task gets created using what rules. Only create the second task when the first task is completed, or create the third task if approval is granted on the specific custom field. These are types of rules that you can create that'll define when child tasks or child tickets get created on the project as tasks. And so if the rule will match in the future, you have the ability to display what those tickets will look like on the project, but you can't really do much to them, and they get a little clunky. Milestones is supposed to be a way to group the tasks better and actually have them exist. So I'm going to turn these off. We're going to use milestones. I'm going to show the automations tab because I do that for almost every ticket type that I mess with, because I generally have a lot of automations. I'm also going to display the auditing tab and the billing tab. Finally, we're going to say allow the tickets of this type to be a child ticket. And if we scroll down, let's see. We're not going to do that. This will basically, when someone's entering QuickTime, do you want them to just QuickTime against the ticket type? And we're going to say no. Parents or actions are added to a parent ticket by an agent, also add to all child tickets. We're going to do never for this in this case. Parents after all child tickets are closed. Here we can do completed. It's not a closed status, but it's indicating that all the tasks are complete, and so therefore the project can be reviewed for closure. Show other open tickets for the user. We're going to hide all this stuff because for the most part, projects don't care about that. Help desk would. Ticket link for parent tickets. This is what I was looking for. So by default, there's only one ticket link, right? We want to come here and we actually want to change. We want to go to ticket link types and make a new one called projects, because these are not child incidents. These are projects. And we're going to make another one called tasks while we're here. So we're going to come here and we're going to call them tasks. Okay. Notice if we come in here, it's actually, the tab is called project tasks, but the tab will be grouped based off the link set. And there was no link, actually. Notice it's a required field, but it was blank. And so for right now, I'm going to do child incident, and we're going to keep going. Show add note action in the user portal. Yeah, we want them to add notes onto the project, and we want them to be able to see the tasks on the end user portal for this project. We can do yes, where it'll only be tasks that are allowed for the user to see, or we can say yes and ignore user permissions. If they can see the project, they can see the whole, all the tasks related to that project. We're going to do yes, and we're going to leave it that alone. We're not going to auto delete ticket data, and we are not going to create appointments automatically, but you do have the ability to do that, so that as a project manager, if they're just going around and assigning start stop times to the tasks, it'll create appointments on the calendar for each task. So we want to do that for the task level, but we don't want to do that for the project level, because then you're going to have like a huge, massive appointment spanning the entire length of the project. Show active status on the child Kanban. So notice right now you've got new and closed. You may not want that for projects. You may want to be able to see all of the statuses that are relevant to the project. So you can see like how many are in each stage. And if there's none, there's none. So we do like new in progress with user. And we can say closed. And that's probably basic customer updated maybe. It's probably basically it for a project task perspective. And we want to include child and grandchild tickets just in case we end up doing grandchild tickets. If they do resource booking, you can do a scheduled status and select that, but we don't have a scheduled status. We'll leave that alone. Default the ticket sidebar to collapse. This is a new setting, and that actually hides the sidebar here on the main tab, right? So that's one of the things that changed and gives you that project-like view instead of the ticket-like view. So we want to turn that off. Turn that on and hide the sidebar. We want to allow users to be mentioned so that we can just literally tag the user. We want to enable milestones, and we want to enable forecasting. These are also new features that came in the products module through different times. And so we want to turn them both on. Default Kanban view, group by status, group by workflow stage. Kanban, you can drag and drop tickets between statuses, but you can't do that because you can't change the status if it's on a workflow. And so you don't really want to group by workflow stage because you really don't want a workflow to be there for projects. I know senior consultants from Halo basically tell you that workflows are great for service desk where you need to have a complex process. They're great for leads and opportunities and stuff, so on and so forth. Projects, the workflow is built into the tasks. The management has the workflow. You don't need a workflow of which buttons will play when on projects specifically. So don't put them on a workflow, and that'll allow you to just quickly drag and drop the project tasks between and projects and project tasks. Sorry, you're going to set the setting group by status for both task and project ticket types, and don't put tasks or projects on a workflow itself. And then we have the last two settings here that we want to talk about. Calculate completion based on the number of completed project tasks. You have three other options here. Do not show at all. So by default, out of the box, it was set to do not show, which would hide this project completion area. This is new. As a project manager, I want to open a ticket. I want to see what the status of the project is in overall. I have three ways to see that overall status. I can do based off the number of completed project tasks, based off the total estimated time of completed project tasks, or based off the total budgeted time of completed project tasks. And so for simplicity, until you get to the point where you're actually managing projects to a level where you're putting in estimated time correctly, or you're putting in budgeted time correctly, number of completed project tasks works just as well. And then finally, show earliest start date and latest end date on project tasks. And so it'll give you the span date range from when the project's supposed to start to when the project's officially over because of the last task latest end date. In this case, by the way, you should know that the start date is start date and end date is actually target date on the task or project. That's basically it on the settings for the project task. And now let's go talk about milestones and let's talk about forecasting. And we've talked about all the other features that we did, like drag and dropping and the Kanban view and the hiding. And so we really just have the milestones and forecasting to talk about. So if we talk about forecasting, that's going to be the easiest thing to do. Basically, forecasting gives you a list of the agents who are on the team and or agents who are assigned to project, and coming in a next update, 2124 will include agents on tasks under that project. So child tickets that are assigned to a ticket will also show up on the parent ticket forecasting table, so that you can go through and forecast their time as well. So here's how the forecasting is broken out. You've got each forecasting area broken out by weeks. These are groups of 7 days. So the 2nd, the 9th, 16th, 23rd, 30th, 6th, 13th. So every 6-7 days, every week, essentially, you have a new set of planning areas. And the idea is that you use this for really, really quick and dirty budgeting of time, where you don't have the whole project worked out, but you know that you're going to spend at least 5 hours next week on this project. So I'm going to go ahead and specify 5 hours for this project. And then you know that the week after that, Mary's going to spend another 10 hours on that project. And we're going to go ahead and mark that 10. And you can go through and start going through different projects and assigning forecasting of the same thing. So here I have 3 hours already budgeted for next week, 5 hours the week after, 6 the week after that. And here I'll do, well, by now we've got 15 hours. This project should be done by 15 hours. So we don't need to do anything more. Let's go here and say we've got 30 hours for Mary, 20 hours for me, because we've got 15 hours this week, 5 hours the week of the 23rd, and Mary has 30 hours. This project is basically done at that point. So now, what is the point of all of this? And so we're like assigning times to work on tickets or work on projects by week, but how does that help us? I need to know how much resources I actually have to give so I know what planning I can do. So let's jump through the timesheets window and let's jump over to the forecasting page. And if we notice that we now have flipping over to the project engineers, or project managers, sorry, and including Mary on here. Okay, so now for the week of literally the time period of July 2nd to September 10th, apparently. So each of these is a week, remember. I have 2 hours slated for Mary on this week of July 9th. I've got 16 hours slated for me. I've got 8 hours the week after that. 10 hours the week after that. Mary has 40 hours. She's booked up. I can't put her on anything else. This is a global view. But despite her being booked for 40 hours on that week, I have other hours. All right, no, yeah, she's good. She's locked up for that week. Other weeks that she has time for, so that's why we're at 47, because she also has 5 hours here, and she's got 2 hours here, but these are different weeks, so she's good there. But you can easily see, based off of the number of working hours, based off of the assigned work hours on the agent. So every agent's assigned working hours. Based off the number of working hours an agent has against the number of hours you've planned, that cell changes color to tell you, hey, you're over or under your utilization. And what happens if we were to give Mary some more time? What does that cell look like? So let's go back to the projects and let's go pick another project here. And let's go to forecasting and assign Mary. What week was that? That was the week of the 23rd. For the 23rd, let's give her just 1 hour here. Save. Okay, so now she has 1 hour here. And let's come here and let's just refresh this page. And now it's red. You are over time. And so this is what forecasting is supposed to be used for. Again, it's meant to be future planning. Oh, how far out are you booked projects? I don't know. Well, now you can figure that out. You can spend 20 minutes, half an hour, jump through each of the projects, assign time to agents that are assigned to that project, and say you're going to spend 2 hours this week, 2 hours this week, 2 hours this week, 2 hours this week. And eventually, you'll get to the point of the project being closed, or at least you'll have part of the project planned out for the next few weeks. And then you get through all the projects and you look at your forecasting and go, well, my agents are way out of whack. They're so overbooked. This is not going to work out. We have to figure out what projects we need to chop off. The only downside I would say about forecasting is that there's no way to break down from here what actually is assigned to these 40 hours. I can't see what what makes up these projects. I can't see the detail, the drill down. So it would take a required custom report to figure that out, which you can turn into a dashboard. But as of right now, from this screen, you can't see the individual projects that make up the total of that 40 hours. All right, so let's talk about milestones real quick. This is the last piece, and then this video is over. I know I've been talking for a while. Hopefully you guys aren't bored yet. Milestones give you a way to break the project up into pieces. And so if you had a large amount of tasks, let's go find something that has more than 0 here, 4 tasks, perfect. And so we've got, notice, by the way, our Kanban updated so we can see the new in progress with user closed and customer updated. And you can probably, I think, rearrange the order of that. So that way, we come here and say, instead of closed, we're going to put closed at the end. So, right, so it's based off the order of select. And then we come here and refresh this. Oh, that did not work. Okay, I lied. It's probably going to be based off of the sequence number assigned to the status then. Let's go take a look at that too, just because now I'm curious. I lied when I said I was close to being finished, going off on a tangent, because that's going to bother me. Closed is sequence 110 and customer updated sequence 130. We're just going to move customer updated to sequence 109. And then refresh this. And there you go. And so we have like basically a view of statuses in progress and progression of how the things should work, right? So this is the normal flow of a ticket. Closed at the end, new is how you start, and progress is when you're working on it, so on and so forth. Notice we have no milestones here. We're going to go back to milestones now. What we can do is we can say, okay, milestone of, what are the 4 tasks that we've got? Project, standard project, project management, setup tenant, training. So let's say we've got setup, install, and training. So we got 3 milestones. We're going to do setup. We'll do sequence 5, and we're going to say our tickets here will be standard project, and we'll say, what else do we have here? Setup tenant. Okay, and let's do our install. And let's assume, let's pretend this project management ticket was part of installing, was an actual installation ticket. And then we can say our training and wrap up, right? Or final, or whatever it is you want to call your phase. And this will be the training ticket. And so what happens is that these are now broken out. And so we can say, okay, what milestone are we in? We're in the setup stage. These are the only 2 tasks that are in that stage. Now we're going to go to the install stage, and then we're going to go to the training stage. And so it gives you the ability to see clearly and group, especially for larger products that have a lot of tasks, into different phases. The milestones become phases. More than that, if you were to say, okay, install can't happen until setup is complete. And so we're going to depend this on setup. And training can't happen until install is finished. And so we're going to make training dependent on install. Right. And so now we've got both training and install locked. Did that work? That should have locked. Oh, there was a message that I missed. It just took a minute. Let's see if that applied. Nope. Let's do it again. Set up, install. There we go. And so now we've set up, install, and training. And install and training are locked until setup is complete. So now if I come here and I look, I know I don't have a milestone filtered, but by default, I only see the tickets that are listed in those milestones. And here, we can see now all the tickets, versus here we only see the 2 tickets, right? So show hide tickets against locked milestones or completed milestones. And so as you complete a milestone, those tickets also fall out of view. So for example, let's come here and let's say, well, we're going to complete the standard project. And well, I can't do that. I'm going to complete the setup tenant. I'm going to go into the standard project and I'm going to complete these tasks here that I have to complete. Right, so that was the message. There's stuff to do on the to-do list. So you can make these like the steps you need to perform in order to close the ticket. And now I'm going to close that ticket. And now I'm in the next milestone, right? So notice those 2 disappeared. Now this is the only ticket I have to work on. And if I show hide completed, these 2 come back, right? If I show hide locked, The only one left is the one that's locked currently, the training one. If I look at my milestones, you can see that my next one's in progress. The one after that's locked, and the first one is complete. And that's basically it in terms of how it works. Now, let's say I'm showing locked, but I'm hiding complete. I'm going to say this one's now closed and completed, and it's going to allow me to unlock the next step. And I can say this is now complete. And now the project is finished to the point where no tickets show up. I can show hide task against completed. I can see everything's completed. My project completion is about 100%. Did that? Yeah, that's interesting. This should display regardless, in my opinion, I think this should display regardless of tickets being visible. It's kind of funny that they hide it. Going back to the details, if I come look at my status, I can see it's closed because I closed all my tasks. And so everything is closed. I go to my milestones, I can see it's all finished, and that's it. That's projects. So when I first started out working on Halo, the projects module had a long way to go. It was literally just a parent-child ticket. There wasn't any real visibility into what was going on. There were certain things you can do with custom columns on the column profile in the table view. Tile view and Kanban view was basically useless. It was very much piecemeal together. Project plan came in eventually. Wasn't fully fleshed out. Project plan is still not necessarily something I would use often. But today, many versions later in beta, they kept releasing different features and functionality to the project module over time. And so I think it's much closer to being a decent project module now than it was when I first started. I think that I actually use the project module for my own Rising Tide consulting group. And I think that it's definitely serviceable as for most projects. We'll see what happens as we continue to use it and as more features come out with it. The only other thing that I'll point out about forecasting is that you can do forecasting against non-project tickets if you want to. I don't know why you would, but you do have that ability. It's just a ticket type setting. And so you can go to the tickets, ticket type, and you can go to incident, for example, and then just turn on the forecasting on that ticket. You do still have to enter a parent status after all tickets, right? So that gets wiped out. We're going to say no change. Every time you edit it, that dropdown gets wiped out for some reason, even if it was set to no change before. The other thing that we want to do is we want to come back to ticket link types, and we want to create, we already created tasks. Whoops. We want to go back to the ticket types, and we want to modify the ticket type for tasks to be project task. We want ticket type link. Right now it's blank. We want it to be tasks. Okay. And so now if we come here and look at project tasks and refresh, you should see, well, that didn't really change. And if we go back to, if you go look at the, where are we? Details, let's see if there's an opportunity linked here. Yeah, let's go to opportunity. We should see this linked. Right now it says child tickets. It's supposed to show projects. There's probably a setting that I'm missing. Hold on. I think the setting is not here, but maybe under general settings, group. Let's see. There we go. Split child tickets tabs into ticket link types. Turn that on. And so now if we come back here, here where it's child tickets, if I refresh, it'll now be child incident. Apparently it did not take, it didn't update my, if I come here and refresh, it's tasks correctly. So why did this not update to projects? Did I not, I probably never changed it, right? Because I saved it as an incident and then I never went back. Let's go back to projects. it's been a long night and I'm losing my mind. That's probably what's going on. But yeah, I never, because I had to put something in and I didn't have projects created at the time, and I never went back and fixed it. So now I'm going to set it to projects and I refresh this, and now we have tasks there, and which we already had that, and projects here. And so now we can see that. So the thing about this is you can really technically build out for larger projects that are made up of like different types of projects. Let's say it's a brand new customer onboarding and you have 5 or 6 projects to do with that onboarding. You've got to do the actual discovery, you've got to do the security services rollout, you got to do the cloud setup, 365 and whatnot. All these different projects that you have to do, they could all fall into different project types under different ticket types. And then you can build a big project with all the different ticket types for it. So that way, thinking of the parent, child, grandchild mode for a moment, what would happen is that you would basically have the project, the main project, wherever we are here, broken out into different tabs that would say like security project, cloud project, onboarding project. And then in there, you'd go to each one and you'd see each individual ticket. And then from there, you can go drill that down. If you don't want to do parent, child, grandchild, you can do different tasks, for different ticket types for the tasks. And that way you have one project as the parent, and then you would have the child tasks of each ticket type grouped into tabs related to the link. Anyways, I promise now I'm done. Hope you enjoyed watching. Hope this is helpful to you. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want to see.